Hello, freshmen. I am working on your final e-learning for Friday. Um, well, I don't know that it's your final e-learning because Governor Halcomb announced today that we won't be back until at least May 1st. Sorry. So that means I don't know what e-learning is going to look like after spring break, to be perfectly honest. I imagine that we will have some, but I don't know when or any details yet. However, I will, as soon as I know Mr. Bell knows something, he will email your parents, email you, issue a statement as to what we will be doing. But next week, we get a week off, so we'll just relax and kind of see what happens. You should have read all of Act 2 at this point and answered questions throughout each scene. I want to kind of summarize what has happened in each scene as you have read. Um, so scene 1 of Act 2. I'm going to put my glasses on because I can't see. Scene 1 of Act 2 takes place at the Capulet Orchard. It's immediately following the party. So, basically, Romeo's friends think that he is super upset about Rosaline, and that he has taken off and he's back into his depressed mode. However, we know that he is actually upset because he is now in love with Juliet, who is his enemy. So that's his new problem that we know, but the characters in the story don't know. And we call that dramatic irony, when we know something that the characters do not know. So that's basically what's going on that, it's like one page of scene 1. Scene 2 picks up where Romeo is hiding in the orchard and Juliet comes and speaks her thoughts on stage. And we call that a soliloquy, when a character speaks on stage and reveals their thoughts to the audience. Okay, so she has this long soliloquy, but Romeo overhears it. And sometimes with a soliloquy, characters do hear it and sometimes they don't, but the message is supposed to go to the audience. Okay, so it's so that the audience knows where the character stands basically on a particular issue. In this case, it's Juliet's feelings towards Romeo. When Romeo says, "Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious as the night being over my head," that whole it's lines like 25 on page 934. That whole thing is what we call an aside, and that is when he is directing his thoughts to himself. Okay, Juliet cannot hear him, even though she's right there on stage with him, same proximity as he is to her, and where he can hear her thoughts, she cannot hear his. So it's not meant to be heard at all by characters on the stage. So it's an aside, and it kind of does the same thing where it reveals information that the audience needs to know, but the other characters don't know, kind of like a secret. So they're like, hey, this is what I know, but other characters can't hear it. So that's an aside. Then Juliet is very fearful during this scene when Romeo does reveal himself, that someone's going to catch them, that her parents are going to see them, her guardsmen are going to see him, and Romeo is going to get killed. And Romeo, he's not really worried about it. He's like, I'd rather die in your presence, and you are the last thing I look at, than to leave early or have not tried to talk to you. So he's being typical Romeo, super dramatic once again. Then we get to they've made a vow to each other that they are going to work on basically they vowed their love for one another, and they're going to wait till tomorrow to prove that their love is true. In scene 3, Romeo goes straight to Friar Lawrence's cell, and in that first part, Friar Lawrence is just talking about he has knowledge of medicine like herbs as medicine, and he's talking about this one plant that he has that if you it's special because if you um, I think it's if you smell it. Hold on. Yes, if you smell it, it makes you happy. It cheers each part. It makes you feel good, basically. But if you eat it, it would kill you. So he's talking about how powerful this is, that it has the power to, enhance your life as well as to end your life. So he's just kind of marveling at the awesomeness of this plant. And then Romeo interrupts him and basically says, um, my life is over. I can't believe it. And he says, what's going on? Were you with Rosaline? And he said, no, I've forgotten that name, and that name's Woe. And Friar's like, okay, good, that's awesome. And then Romeo's like, um, I have been feasting with mine enemy, where on sudden one hath wounded me. That's by me wounded. Both are remedies with thy help and holy psychic lies. I bear no hatred, blessed man, for lo, my intercession likewise steadies my foe. So, steeds my foe, sorry. Um, and so, um, Friar Lawrence is instantly like, what is going on? Like, a second ago you were upset over Rosaline, now you're, in love with Juliet. You're being too easily swayed. But he's like, you know what? If this will stop the fighting between the families, maybe you guys getting together wouldn't be the worst thing. So, I think you need to slow down, but I'll help you. Then scene 4, the beginning of that is meant to be comic relief, and basically, they're kind of making fun of Romeo, and then Romeo shows up, and then the nurse shows up, and there's this whole scene where they're like taunting the nurse. They're calling her an old hair whore. It's very good meat in Lent. And they sing this song and kind of prance around her. And basically, they're just calling her an old, loose woman, an old, morally loose woman. And so they're being very offensive to her. And so she's not impressed. She is not impressed with Romeo or his friends. She thinks Juliet is making a huge mistake. She thinks that she would be better off with Paris. But she does get Romeo's message that he is interested in her. When she returns back to the Capulet household, Juliet's anxiously waiting to hear her response, and once again, some comic relief from the nurse, where she's delaying that, like, oh, give me a rest. Like, I can't right now. I can't tell you. My back hurts too badly. All these things that she's delaying Juliet's response. But then she does finally reveal the plan, okay? And so then hie you hence to Friar Lawrence's cell. There stays a husband to make you a wife. Now comes the wanton blood in your cheeks. They be in scarlet straight at any news. Hie you to church. I must another way to fetch a ladder by which your love must climb a bird's nest soon when it is dark. So they're going to meet at Friar Lawrence's cell. Juliet's going to claim that she's going to shrift or confession. And then that evening, Romeo's going to climb the ladder up to her room. I am drudge and toil in your delight, but you should bear the burden soon at night. Go all to dinner, hie you to the cell. And so that's the plan. That's what they're going to do. The very next scene, scene 6, they meet at Friar Lawrence's cell and they get married. And that's the end. So at this point, Romeo and Juliet are married legally by Friar Lawrence. And that's pretty much it. That catches us up. So what I'm going to have you guys do is to take a quiz over Act 2. You can use the novel. You could take notes as you read. You can use the old questions from earlier this week. Whatever helps you. One thing I want to point out to you is there's some character matching And I want you to be very careful because some lines say, who said this? And then some lines say, who is being described here? So I don't want you to get those mixed up. So pay attention to the directions, otherwise you may get questions wrong. Okay? But that's your e-learning for Friday, is to take the quiz over Act 2. It is only 25 questions this time. So 25 points. So it's a little bit shorter than the first one that we did. So if you have questions, concerns, you're just bored, you want to reach out, you can email me and I will get back with you. Everyone have a safe and happy spring break, and we'll see what's in store for us when we get back. All right, talk to you later.